Story, Emily and John, A Love That Endured. In a small, quiet village surrounded by endless green fields and winding dirt roads, lived a young woman named Emily. She came from a poor family, yet she carried herself with grace and warmth. Emily was beautiful, yes, but what truly set her apart was her kind heart. She had a way of making everyone around her feel seen and cared for. Emily had one passion that made her different from most girls in the village. She loved books. Whenever she could, she would borrow old, worn-out novels from a retired teacher who lived nearby. She would sit by the riverbank and lose herself in stories of faraway cities, new adventures, and lives much larger than her own. Books gave her hope that even in a life filled with hardship, dreams had the power to light the way forward. The first meeting. One sunny afternoon, at the crowded village market, fate played its role. Emily was buying rice and vegetables when she noticed a young man standing at a fruit stall. His clothes were clean and new, unlike the villagers, and he carried himself with quiet confidence. His name was John, the son of a wealthy businessman from the city. Despite his background, John wasn't arrogant. He smiled easily, asked questions about the village, and spoke to people with respect. When his eyes met Emily's, something unspoken passed between them. At first, it was just curiosity. But when they spoke, about books, about the beauty of the village, about dreams, it felt like they had known each other forever. From that day on, they met often. Sometimes at the market, sometimes near the river, sometimes just walking down the dusty road together. Their friendship grew quickly, built on laughter, shared secrets, and a deep understanding of each other's worlds. From friendship to love. Weeks turned into months. Slowly, their friendship blossomed into love. Emily admired John's kindness, his willingness to see beyond wealth and status. John, in turn, admired Emily's strength, her resilience, and the way she found joy in the simplest of things. They would sit under the shade of a large banyan tree, talking for hours. Emily would read aloud from her books, and John would listen as if every word were a treasure. Sometimes they spoke of dreams, of a life where love mattered more than money, where two hearts could choose freely without society's chains. But reality soon cast its shadow. The obstacle. John's parents, upon learning about Emily, were furious. "How can you even think of marrying a poor village girl?" his father demanded. "You belong to a wealthy family. She can never fit into our world," his mother added coldly. John argued, pleaded, but nothing softened their hearts. To them, Emily was unworthy, not because of who she was, but because of what she didn't have: wealth, status, connections. The pressure grew heavier with each passing day. Emily could see the pain in John's eyes, the weight he carried between love and duty. And so, with tears in her eyes, she made the hardest decision of her life. "John," she whispered one evening, "I don't want you to fight your family because of me. If being together only brings pain, then let us remain friends. Friends who care for each other, even if the world keeps us apart." John's heart broke, but he respected her courage. They promised to stay in each other's lives, no matter what form that bond would take, love and silence. Life moved on, but the love between them never faded. Emily cared for her ailing father, working tirelessly in the fields and at home. John, though far away in the city, never stopped being there for her. When Emily's father fell gravely ill, John returned quietly with medicines and money, despite his parents' disapproval. Emily knew then, whatever the world said, his love was real. Soon after, John had to leave again. He moved to the city for work, determined to build a life of his own. The distance was painful, but letters became their lifeline. Emily, John wrote, "Every day I work hard not just for myself, but for the hope of a future where no one can come between us." And Emily would reply, "John, even if miles separate us, know that my heart walks beside you always." Their words kept them strong through loneliness, hardship, and time. Success and return. Years passed. John worked tirelessly, proving himself in the world of business. Slowly, he built his own fortune, independent from his family. With every step, his confidence grew, and so did his determination. One day, he returned to the village, no longer the boy torn between love and duty, but a man who knew what he wanted. He found Emily, still the same kind-hearted woman, though her face carried the quiet strength of years of struggle. Taking her hands in his, John looked into her eyes and said, "I have waited long enough. I am no longer bound by anyone's permission. Emily, will you marry me?" Tears welled up in Emily's eyes, but this time they were tears of joy. "Yes," she whispered, "a new beginning." They married in a small, simple ceremony under the village sky. There were no grand decorations, no wealthy guests, only love, pure and unshakable. John's parents refused to attend, but that did not matter. Together, they moved to the city, where John had built his new life. Emily, though a village girl, adapted with grace. Their home was not the largest, but it was filled with warmth, laughter, and dreams they once only dared to whisper about. In time, they had children. Emily and John raised them with values of kindness, humility, and courage. They taught their children that love is not measured by wealth or status, but by the strength of the heart. Growing old together. Years turned into decades. Emily and John grew old side by side. Their hair turned gray, their hands wrinkled, but their love remained as vibrant as the day they first met in the village market. On quiet evenings, they would sit together, watching the sunset from their balcony. Their children and grandchildren would play around them, filling the house with joy. "Do you ever regret it?" Emily would sometimes ask softly. "Never," John would answer, holding her hand. "Every struggle was worth it, because it led me here, to you, to us." And when they looked back on their journey, they saw not the pain of rejection, but the triumph of perseverance, sacrifice, and the unyielding power of true love. Closing. Emily and John's story was not just about two people who fell in love, it was about the resilience of the human spirit. It was about dreams that carried them through poverty, about friendship that survived distance, about love that defies society's harsh rules. In the end, their life together became a living testimony that love, when patient and courageous, can endure anything. And so they grew old, proud of their journey, forever grateful for the choice they made, to follow their hearts.